At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farm. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Dr. Martin Luther King's message, so important, so powerful, still relevant. So I'm hoping, I don't see Mary in the chat yet. Is she on? Do you know if she's on, Clint or Kelly?
I'm on.
Okay, great.
I'm
Yes.
on. My camera is off because I need to concentrate on what I'm saying.
Okay, well, let me introduce you then, okay? All right. Mary Blackburn. Dr. B is a graduate of Tuskegee Institute University in Alabama and holds a master's in public health or an MPH in public health and nutrition with an emphasis in maternal and child health from UC Berkeley. She holds a PhD in human nutrition with an emphasis in health planning and administration from UC Berkeley. She was among the first group of dietitians certified as registered dietitians in the United States. Dr. B's career in nutrition and wellness, research and education has touched the lives of hundreds of thousands of limited income, disadvantaged families with young children, pregnant teens, grandparents, caregivers, and at-risk seniors in the San Francisco Bay Area. She held positions as Community Nutrition Division Chief at Mount Zion Hospital and Medical Center, and administrative dietitian at Callison Memorial Hospital in San Francisco. As executive director of Food Advocates Research Education, Technical Assistance and Training Program under UC Berkeley Graduate Division, she assisted emergency food and medical services grantees in 13 Western states. She was regional health planning consultant in chronic disease prevention with the Association of Bay Area Governments in Oakland, California, and directed the Title IX Senior Nutrition Program for the city of Berkeley and Emeryville. She was a non-sworn lieutenant nutritionist on the planning team to set up food services systems during the building of the Contra Costa County Detention Facility in Martinez, California. Dr. B is now an ANR Nutrition, Family, and Consumer Sciences Advisor, serving Alameda County for over 30 years. Her work has earned numerous local, state, and national awards, among which was recognition by Alameda County Board of Supervisors and the National Extension Association of Family and Consumer Sciences Hall of Fame Award in 2020. Dr. B is an active member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, hailing from Tuskegee, representing finer womanhood, scholarship, and serving the community. She is a poet of sorts, writes poetic prose, now searching for her family roots. A most inspiring moment in her life was in China, climbing the holy mountain of the East, seeing the sunrise over the valley of the clouds, and touched by the locals because she was considered blessed. On a personal note, Dr. B has 5 children, all providing service to people in healthcare, administration, human services, the Army, nursing, chemical engineering, and aviation. Her 10 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren call her G-Mama. With that, I introduce to you Dr. Mary Blackburn to share a little bit of her lived experience. Dr. B.
Thank you so much for those kind words. We have about 5 minutes together. This is a work in progress. So buckle up and let the voices speak. Nana, tell us how Black folks live by then. Child, you don't want to know the troubles we see. Living in a 2-room shack with 13 children and a grandma, reared by parents who did not spare the rod, parents with 3rd-grade education trying to help you do homework, traveling slow with a wagon and a mule, still living like slaves in shacks, cardboard on the windows, torches and kerosene lamps, but there was lights in the big house. Child, get the bucket. A shower's coming up, rain plays the blues on that tin roof, enough to put you to sleep, give you a bath at the same time. Now, where was I? Every day a time to fret about feeding them hungry mouths. One more child. Everybody put a little off your plate. Mama's working hard in the fields, bearing 13 healthy children, helping other folks bear their children, enough to cause a nervous breakdown, and it did. Where was Bake Papa? Working his mood like a dog in Captain Mac's field. Didn't want his wife and children, nobody near Captain Mac. Disrespected men, calling them boys, abusing women. No wonder Daisy's twins got that funny red hair. Papa protected his girls, all 9 of them. Everybody knows he's good at shot, even Captain Mac. Somebody ought to write that story about how the Black woman and the light child get treated bad and good for who they is. Black men raising children they know ain't his, worth some kind of Black Actors Award, a Best Actors Award. Shut your mouth, gal. Talking about working in the fields, sun up to sundown, picking 200 pounds of cotton, turkey birds, buzzards soaring and riding the jet stream, men folks in overalls, testing who is the best shot that day. Nana, talk about the guns above the door, heard a loud noise, dog bark, everybody gets quiet, pop a hand on the gun, heart running like a freight train, a knock at the door. It's BJ. Thank you, Jesus. Papa now crying quietly in the night. Brother Pops was shot dead in the chest at the Saturday night fish fry. Over a fish sandwich. My eye. Everybody knows that woman he's with belonged to that man. Cause an EP hopped a freight train one night to escape the hanging tree. Where he is now, nobody knows. He's been one of them strange truths Billie Holiday sings about. Life is hard, child. Nana, all that work, why so poor? Papa never had no money when he settled up at Cap Mac. He changed his figures when he knowed what Papa got for his cotton. Child, add up the numbers on these paper bags. Next time, Papa sure enough settled up. Cap Max, looks like my figures is different from yours. For the first time, Papa had money in his pocket for the winter. Did your Papa get that piece of land he wanted? Old child for his piece of land, stole her like a thief in the night. Man with the note died, bank changed the paper, called in the note, didn't have that kind of money. Nobody did. How can they do that, Nana? They did. Black folks kept slaving for whites hundreds of years after they stopped dancing in the street on Juneteenth. Everybody knows Papa works hard, stand by his word, no better man anywhere. No Whittinator knew that. Sold him a piece of land next to the land they stole. Can't ever be sold again. Kind of put his name on the road going up to that place. Nana, what about book learning? Mama had some powerful thirst for learning. Went to school in the church after the harvest until the spring planting. One child read all the books in that school, all 13 of them children. Finished high school just like their mama promised. They all went on to be somebody. Tell us about the child who read all the books. That gal thought about her mama crying for book learning. Guess she tried to get enough book learning for all but everybody who could not read, figure, or write their name. Named some kind of lottie, accepted at 6 college, but no money to go. Her math teacher found her on her knees weeding peanuts. Get up off your knees. Never ever kneel to anything or anybody except to pray. Took her to some skeegee, worked her way clear through that school. 7 years in a family later, that child registered in some kind of school of visionary medicine. Of course, come July, grade uproar. Dean of students went looking for that gal. UC Berkeley is calling. They say you're due there on Monday. Today is Wednesday. What? Never heard of it. No place to live, no money, no nothing, the president says. If anyone can do this, you can. We will get you there. My husband says no. One day he will know you did it for the people. The people? What about my family? They too will know. Child, they say Saturday morning, husband finally says yes, driving reckless to the airport 45 minutes late, gets out the car running and crying, looking back and ran smack dab into a man at the door. Are you the one from Tuskegee? Yes, sir. Have a plane waiting for you. We was instructed not to take this plane off the ground until you were on it. Door slammed with a bang. Captain says, buckle up. We are on our way. That gal holds her head so tight so it wouldn't fly away. Someday, something they not telling me. This is madness. This is Georgia on my mind. The plane took off, shook hands with them pretty clouds up there. Nobody said a mumbling word. But child, if looks could kill, that gal would be a dead duck. Time's up. No, Nana, no, what happened? What happened? Child, if you think that was hard. Navigating blackness in the West with a target on your forehead and on your backside is another story for another day. Until then, be good, do your homework, call G-Mama sometime. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Keith.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Blackburn. Incredible, powerful, moving. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, this is Lachey. I'd just like to second that, Dr. B. What a wonderful story. And I just want to say that we are grateful for you and the space that you occupy in this world. So thank you. We're going to move on. We have one short video that we're going to show. It's about 2 minutes, followed by a longer video that's about 14 minutes. The first video is a clip from the African American Museum, the History Museum, and then the following clip will be is a profile of a farmer in relation to the discussion that we're going to have, what happened to all the Black farmers. So Kelly, go ahead.
Being a Black farmer has always been difficult. And I always knew there was a problem, but I really didn't get it until I was the one that they were doing it to. It means so much because I remember my dad taking me riding in a truck. You had tractors moving, dirt was being thrown over. It was the best feeling. You definitely want your kids to take over the farm for you to keep that legacy going.
The number of Black farmers in America has been steadily declining since the 1920s, once accounting for 14% of all farmers. Today, they make up less than 2%. It got me wondering, what's happening to all the Black farmers?
We are fourth generation cane farmers. That's all we did. I mean, from my grandfather to my great-grandfather, I farmed with my two brothers and my dad.
Unlike some struggling crop growers and dairy farmers, sugarcane farmers enjoy regulated prices, which have made sugarcane a wealth crop. June and Angie Provost are sugarcane farmers in Louisiana, and a line of Black farmers before them.
Probably 5, 6, I remember my dad just taking me ride in the field, looking at the tractors. I would just try to do everything my dad did. He would always put his arm out the window, so I did the same thing. I was lucky enough to have a business where we can go and enjoy doing what we love every day. It was never a job. I would get up 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning, and we all would go in the field. You had tractors moving, dirt was being thrown over. It was the best feeling. There's a smell. When the air moves, you get that breeze and you get that smell comes after you like it's undescribable. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It was my safe place. It was where I felt most comfortable at.
I'm gonna look for it because Bryson.
We were a community of African-American farmers. I mean, you're talking about probably over 50 farmers, farm families. Now, you know, in Louisiana, there's 450,000 acres grown of sugarcane. There are only 4 African-American families left. There's a problem.
All the Black farms were, I mean, pretty much family farms. It wasn't just like one single.
Yeah, it wasn't a single. It was a family.
It was family.
That's how they were doing it. Because I still got my boy BJ right now. Still, Daddy, why are you not farming no more, man? I wanted to do that, and how do you explain that?
This is a 1994 High Yield Awards. My dad, I think, was 15th place in the top 20 in the state. My oldest brother, he was first place, and I was non-quota first place in the state. I had 8,588 pounds of sugar on 21 acres, and the state average was 5,460 pounds. So almost double the state average.
I met June around February of 2008. He opened the door, it was like, da-da-da-da-da-da. We were like really inseparable since the first moment that we met. When I first met June, I felt like all the hard work that he was doing, that it wasn't paying off for him in some sort of way. Something didn't feel right. I would go with him periodically to the USDA office or to the bank or to even the mill, and I would hear him talk to these loan officers, mill presidents, and it was almost as if he were being disrespected in his face, as if he didn't know what he was talking about. That was something that occurred for years.
First Guaranteed Bank made me downsize in 2013. I'm like, why should I have to downsize? I have bills out there for at least a 3,000 to 4,000 acre farm. Well, you won't get a loan unless you downsize to 1,200 acres. In 2014, I didn't get my crop loan until June 16th. Everybody cane their crops were finished, they were green, they were growing. They're about to start planting cane in a month and a half. Here I am just getting in the fields.
The lender, First Guarantee, did not respond to our request for comment.
In sugarcane, you need your loan in February. Starting from like 2008, the crop loan started in March. Then it got the end of March, then it started in April, then May. I mean, every year the crop was longer and longer delayed. So if you a month or two behind, that is crucial. That means your crop is gonna be behind for the rest until harvest season. And it's a trickle-down effect. So if your cane is behind, your planting is gonna be behind. So not only that you're gonna be suffering for that 1 year, that cane there is gonna be your next crop for the next 3-4 years. So it's a trickle-down effect. It's not like 1 year you can regroup and you're gonna be okay. When you harvest the cane, this right here, you're actually gonna cut this top off. So sugarcane is a wealth crop. For a 1,000-acre farm, your net profit is close to $150,000 to $200,000.
In 2016, the average sugarcane farm in Louisiana was 870 acres. June and his family once farmed up to 5,000 acres. The Provosts believe large Black farms drew negative attention from the overwhelmingly white farm community and agriculture institutions.
That's where I think that the threat came from with Black farmers, because you had so many farmers who were farming 1,500 acres and upwards.
All of the Black farmers that went out, always what we heard, well, their farming practices, or they don't work hard enough, or they only work 3-4 days out of the week. And that is the furthest from the truth. What you don't realize, if you're underfunded, if you're getting your loans late, that is a huge thing on a farm, especially with sugarcane. You have a small window to get out in the field and work your crops.
We've had issues with lenders who've been discriminating against Black farmers.
What Angie's describing was the subject of a massive class action suit brought by Black farmers. Known as the Pigford lawsuit, farmers alleged that the United States Department of Agriculture was discriminating on the basis of race by limiting and delaying Black farmers' access to loans. Thousands of farmers joined the class action, including June and his father, and it resulted in the largest settlement in U.S. government history, and ultimately led to an admission of discriminatory practices within the USDA. U.S. Census data points to stark disparities between Black and white farmers. When it came to a federal loan called Commodity Credit Corporation, in 2007, Black farmers received an average of $28,408, while their white counterparts received triple that amount of the Black farmers.
So in 2014, the problems and issues that we were going through just catapulted.
Which is when they say M.A. Patu, the sugar mill, refused to honor a contract to harvest June's hundreds of acres of sugarcane. The sugar mill did not respond to our request for comment.
Either possibly leave my cane standing in the field or sign a new contract. They could have charged up to $10 a ton if they wanted to. If your cane is left in the field, I mean, you won't have any money to get another crop loan. Your farm is done. That was one of the hardest decisions of my life. They left 3/4 of my crop uncut.
June estimates that was a loss of at least $500,000 just in crops alone.
That finished putting me out completely.
Protect us against all harm, all evil, and all wrongdoing. Forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. Amen.
Forced to make an impossible decision, June stopped farming.
The legacy he left is gone.
It's not gone. You're here and you fight. You're here and you fight. Your dad is with you.
Everybody told me the day of the funeral that he's where you want to be, looking at the cane and looking at the mill. But it's not like that no more.
He's so proud of you.
And I feel like I let my dad down by them taking away our legacy. We have a tractor and some sugar cane. That was a must.
It makes me angry when I look at June and I look at his father's gravesite and I think of all the other young men and women who have passed away at early ages because of hard labor. And I look at a sugar mill, a sugar plantation built by slaves. It makes me angry.
There are not many African-American farmers left. And the rate they're going right now, there won't be any more in 5 to 10 years. So I'm gonna fight until I can't fight anymore.
You can't see a growth in white sugarcane farmers while seeing a decline in black farmers and say that race has nothing to do with it.
And awful. That was awful.
Now that we're in financial trouble, First Guarantee wants to foreclose on this home.
I mean, the embarrassment, the knowing that you won't be able to get a crop loan again, knowing that your career is literally gone. I have nightmares. I see psychologists. I'm having the hardest time. In possibly a month, I can lose my house, property. It's hard to deal with this. I know a lot of farmers are going through this.
June and Angie don't think their experience is unique. They see institutional discrimination across much of the industry as a big reason for the decline of Black farmers.
And I always knew there was a problem, but I really didn't get it until I was the one that they were doing it to. And it just opened my eyes up completely. And it's like, wow, you know, they did it to me, they did it to my family members. The whole community of Black farmers, they did it to.
The provosts have decided to file 2 lawsuits. One against the sugar mill, M.A. Patu, and another against First Guarantee Bank.
A family of sons and a father who've maintained sugarcane operations for, in this case, at least 3 generations. You don't go out of business because of bad farming practices. There are some outside third-party influences that will cause the demise of an experienced sugarcane operation. It's just shocking to see that these practices continue in 2018. To have to leave your profession under a cloud of discriminatory practices is very disheartening. It causes depression. It causes a lot of hopelessness.
While neither the sugar mill nor the bank have responded to our request for comment, in a previous statement to The Guardian, First Guarantee Bank denied any discriminatory practices.
You are hereby notified that by virtue of writ of possession issued by the Honorable 16th Judicial District Court of Louisiana in and for Iberia Parish, after 24 hours from date of this service, I will place Mortgage Company First Guarantee Bank in full and complete possession of the property belonging to said adjudicate of share sale, being the following described property.
Still shaking, because this is a loss that's just undescribable. I mean, to say, you know, come do this and then tomorrow they're gonna come and change the locks. This is unreal. This is unreal.
We are challenging your crooked mindset, your backwards mindset, your Jim Crow mindset. We'll pass it on to our kids. We'll pass it on to our family members. Make sure that when we're gone, that they will continue to push back.
Despite the loss of their home and the ongoing lawsuits, the provosts are determined to once again farm.
So I know that was heavy, but now we're going to take this time to break out. We're going to have 8 sessions with each session will have a facilitator, and the facilitators will have a list of questions to ask you guys for discussion about the videos that we watched during today's session.
Thank you all for joining us back in. I acknowledge that the time was very limited for our group. I think we only addressed one question out of the so many questions because probably people wanted also to just sit on the videos and have like a reflection of what was happening in the videos. And I think if you keep sending us the questions, then we will try to address them here if we can, or we can probably try to answer some. If you have any question or anybody can answer the question. If you have burning questions, let me know.
Yeah, I agree with you. Time was definitely against us on this one. There was a lot to cover and discuss, but you know, I think our group got as much as we could. We got some great comments out of there, some interesting revelations. So definitely, it was good.
Yeah, and my group we got through all questions except for the last one, and that was probably my fault because I was trying to close the pop-up and I left the meeting instead. So I apologize to my group. But,
you owe me, Frank. You owe me for that one.
Why did you pick up for me? I much appreciate that.
Any other questions that are coming up or probably hear from other groups if you have anything to share?
No, you know, the last question we were on was what can cooperative extension do to partner or to readdress institutional and systemic racism and how we can do our part. To me, that's probably the most interesting question and challenging question in terms of generating thought and ideas of what and how we can do. Some of us are involved with farmers, some of us are not. But I think that's really the most thought-provoking question of any of them, and I'd really like to hear if other people had opinions on that as well.
Yeah, and I think I will throw it to you out there, and I think that's the one that our group was trying to focus on. So throwing it to the whole group, what can UCNR do? Any thoughts?
Feel free to use the chat too.
Yeah, well, we had some great commentary on that question about what cooperative extension can do, and really the biggest key point that came out of that was have those hard conversations, right? And the one that really got me was hire more Black people, right? It's just, I mean, it seems simple, but it's tough to obviously get implemented. It does take courage and stuff, but we had some good call outs with that regarding what we can do to honor the land grant and make sure that there's equality within it.
From my perspective, I think I wanted to talk about it and I cut myself off, but I think from my perspective, one of the most important things we can do is, first of all, is educate ourselves, right? We see some of these videos and I think it's important to educate ourselves to be able to lay a path of how we act and interact with one another, right? And create and also get cultural awareness. Right. There are cultural differences when you have conversations with people of different colors and races and not just Blacks, right? And I think it's important and imperative that you understand what those differences are as you engage with people of color, no matter what color they are, right? So, that's some of my thoughts.
Yeah, and something that came in our group is that people don't know where to reach out to. They don't know if Black farmers exist, and they don't know how to reach to the Black growers because probably a lot of documents or documentation, they don't have those people. And one of the suggestions is you live with Black people in the community. Probably that's where you start relating with the Black people, then you will know people in the community because you might think that if you get a list from a Farm Bureau, for instance, you'll get all the growers there, but not. So probably start relating with people in the community, then you will find them and then you can go to them and have a conversation. Anybody else?
This is Lachey. I just want to second what Frank was saying, because in our group, one of the individuals was saying she considered herself pretty aware of certain things, but had no idea that what was happening in regards to Black farmers and the history there. And so I think, obviously this is a Black farmer, this is Black History Month that we're profiling this information, but it's really just American history. And I think educating yourself is one of the most powerful things we can do, so that we're aware of what is going on and what has occurred. And with that knowledge, we are hopefully armed to make better decisions about the things that we do in our work and also our personal lives.
One of the other things I think about, I have a social and racial equity meeting with my team every month that we talk about all kinds of social equity. And that's not necessarily Blacks, it's Hispanic, and comments have come up in the past where, I've had people cry on my call. I've had people tell me that they don't understand why this is happening, right? And even this call or this Black History Month event, right? To me, this is something we should be doing on a regular basis, right? It's talking about Black history, or whether it's Latino history or any other history that impacts us as a culture once a month or once a year, from my perspective, just isn't enough to create awareness across the team.
Yeah, speaking to that, Frank, we had, so the question about the People's Journey video, we had a great comment about how the collage showed struggle, right? It's where's the bright light at the end of it? It's just a lifetime of struggle. And maybe that's due to not having the awareness that we have today, or like we witnessed today on these videos. The more aware, the more an emotional effect you may have, and the more it may stay top of mind to mind your cues and to help those that need help.
I just want to share something that happened in our breakouts, and they were like referring to kind of the mental health that a lot of, in this case, like the farmers or generally people of color are carrying among themselves. And I think like it's great to have the institutional conversations, but like, again, like following up through this meeting, I mean, now we're aware that people do carry the mental burden, right? Because kind of, and so how can we show up for those colleagues? Because they are evaluated similar to all of us, right? But they just have this thing that institutionally carry in your mind. So I guess just kind of take a step that it was surprising for some people in my breakout room. And then I just want to I'm an immigrant to this country. And so like after I saw the video for the kind of from the museum, and it's kind of like African-American history, that's exactly what Licha said. I was just like, wait, like, why is only their history, right? Like it's kind of this like the whole country's history. And I just bring like that outside perspective, because it just shocked me when I read the things at the end. I was just like, wait a minute, like this is one country, right? And it's just because I was not educated with this growing up outside the US, right? But it's just kind of one of those little things that when you start opening your mind about really seeing disparities, you catch all those little things.
Thank you so much for your contributions, for your time. And we are learning. We are learning that the time has been really short. Last week, we were told about the time is short. And this week also, we are told the time is short. I think the organizing committee is looking into this, and the Black and Allied group is also looking at this too. I will give it to Lachey to thank everybody else who joined us for this session.
Yes, thank you for this.
I was just going to say one more comment. Martin Luther King made a comment on his March on Washington, which stated what we were here to collect. I'm here to say that we haven't been paid, right? And he did say it was an ongoing struggle, and the struggle's not over. So, my answer to his question is that we haven't been paid. Right?
Time to get paid.
I think all of us to continue that. I'm sorry?
I said time to get paid. Let's get that money.
Amen. Well, thank you everybody for joining our second session for Black History Month. And hopefully we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. We look forward to the program. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for putting it on.